All right, here we go. So last assignment for my Java class, we're creating a game loop. So first thing we needed to do was create interfaces. So these interfaces become really important for polymorphism. So this is defines what methods a class must have, but it doesn't mean they have to do. And these are not being implemented here. They're being implemented later in the code. So first thing then we're going to do after that is create our classes. So first class is a night. So private things, name, health, and then also we're showing this is public as well, name, how much health they have. They're getting the slash attack, shield block, the amount of hit points they have left, and their name. So when we perform a slash attack, they're going to use their name, and it's going to print performs a slash attack, same with shield block. Second class we're creating is called an archer. Same concept at the top, We're creating these private things as well as these that we're actually defining. They get the shoot arrow skill. So when we shoot an arrow, we're creating an if-else statement. So first thing it's going to do is check, do we have greater than 0 arrows in our quiver? If the answer is yes, we're going to shoot an arrow. We're going to subtract that from our quiver and then print this line. If this statement is false, we skip to the else and it says we're out of arrows. They also get the rapid fire skill. So they're going to shoot 3 arrows at once. So the if statement is arrows greater than or equal to 3. And then we're shooting 3 arrows, so arrows minus equals 3. So we're taking 3 arrows out of the quiver. And then we're printing this line if the if statement is true. If the if statement is false, we skip to the else. And we get this not enough arrows for rapid fire. They have the replenish arrow skill, so now arrows equals 20. So the idea is we are replenishing our quiver back to 20, and then we're also getting our health, returning it, creating the method get name, get arrows to know how much health, arrows, and the character's name. The last class we're creating is the mage class. So very similar to the archer, except instead of arrows, we have mana, which is like magical power. So here, similar if-else statement to the archer when we fire an arrow, except we're using mana. So the cast fireball spell is going to cost 30 mana points, so mana has to be greater than or equal to 3, or greater than or equal to 30 to cast this spell. We're subtracting 30 from our mana pool, and then we're going to print this line. And then if we do not have enough mana, we're going to print does not have enough mana to cast fireball. Same with teleport, except teleport's worth 20 mana. Then we get the meditate skill, which is going to replenish our mana back to 100 and restore mana. And then kind of same deal with that. Now we're getting into hybrid units. So first one's a battle mage. So we're combining the knight and the mage. So we're naming the class battle mage. And then from the interfaces above, we're going to implement melee combat and magic combat. And then we're also going to call in the parent class knight and mage. So down here we have these overrides. So from the knight we're getting melee attack. From the mage we're getting cast spells. Cast fireball. So what this add override does is it kind of prevents bugs currently and potentially in the future. So we have the interface melee attack down here that we're implementing. So if I misspelled melee attack in this method, it would throw an error at me. Or if think about this in bigger coding projects, we're creating a video game. If someone goes back and changes the name of the interface to melee attack to just attack, and we're trying to use it down here, it's going to throw me a bug, and that should theoretically make it easier to find why I have this bug here. The battle mage is also getting elemental strike, so we're channeling arcane energy through the blade. We're combining slash attack and fireball and devastating combo attack. So the reason I don't have to rewrite the if-else loop for cast fireball is if we go up here, mage.cast fireball, I'm basically using this method down here in this, so I don't have to rewrite that if-else statement. Second hybrid unit is a ranger combining archer and knight. They're getting the range combat and melee. combat interface, and then we're calling in the parent class archer and knight. Specifically, we're getting ranged attack, shoot arrow from the archer, and slash attack from the knight. They get survival instinct as a skill, so we're going to tap into survival instinct skills and set a trap, forage for supplies, or find cover. And the last hybrid unit is our arcane archer. They get range combat, magic combat, and special ability. From the interface, private, they're combining archer and mage parent classes. Specifically, we're getting shoot arrow from the archer and cast fireball from the mage to use the special ability enchanted arrow, where we're enchanting an arrow with fireball to shoot a fire arrow. This if statement is a little bit different. So we actually have an if-else statement in this. So we're calling get arrows from the archer and get mana from the mage. So if arrows is greater than 0 and mana is greater than or equal to 20, we will shoot a magical arrow. And then right here we're getting that output statement that is looking at the second part of that else loop or if loop from get mana and get arrows. If either get arrows is not greater than 0 or we have less than 20 mana, we get not enough resources for special abilities, so we can't cast that. And then they also get replenish arrows from the archer, meditate from the mage, and these are the other things we're getting out of that other class. Now we got to go about testing our program. So first thing we're testing is our base classes, so we're going to print that base test. So we're creating a knight. So think of a class as a recipe. And the knight, in this case, the knight is a cookie or an object. So now we've taken the recipe of the class, and the object is now a knight. So now we're creating an object in Java. So we're naming the knight Arthas, and we're testing get name, get health, and then we're going to go through all the skills. Same with the archer, right? We're naming the archer Sylvanus. Don't want to do that. Getting name, health, number of arrows they have. We're shooting an arrow, trying rapid fire, replenishing arrows. So we're making sure that the skills work in the archer class. Mage test, naming the mage Jaina. Same deal, right? But now cast fireball, teleport, cast fireball again, meditate, boom. So we're checking to make sure all of the skills in the class are working inside of this object. Now we're going to test our hybrid units. So first one, Battle Mage, naming him Illidan. We're going to test him, so we're going to test melee attack, cast spell, and then boom, and then printing that out. Malfurion, same deal, range attack, melee attack, range attack again, outline. Then we're going to come down. Next one, Arcane Archer, named Vol'jin. Right, similar, just kind of making sure the skills are working in our object. Last thing is a polymorphism test, so we're going to use a list array here, right? So we're listing melee combat as a list array for our melee units. I need to quit doing that. So we're applying this to all of our melee units that have a melee skill. So the battle mage and the ranger are in this list array, and because they have melee combat from our interfaces. So now we're seeing if those work for those units. Then we're doing the same thing with our combat units. So range combat as our list array. What are our range units? In this case, it's ranger and arcane archer. For range combat for the units, and so on. Same thing with our magic units. Same concept, except instead of our two magic units are battle mage and arcane archer. And then the special ability units. Only one that has a special ability in this program is the arcane archer. Boom for special abilities, special units, boom, boom. And then now we're going to test our unique abilities for each thing. So the battle mage elemental strike, we're testing it. Survival instinct for the ranger, arcane archer, their special ability. And then we're going to test our resource management to make sure that these if-else loops are working correctly. So we're starting with our arcane archer, testing for resource management, initial arrows, how many arrows are left after we use our skills. So right here, which is where we're actually using that skill ability, range attack, cast spell, special ability. So when we run the program, we'll see how this runs. Down here, empty quiver, right, is a for loop to process when our quiver is empty. And then what happens if we try to use our special ability when our quiver is empty? Then we're going to refill the quiver, rinse and repeat. So when I run the program, boom, click run. Let's go to the, I'll make this bigger, to the top. Right, so we're testing our knight. So Arthur's, he has 500 health, slash attack, block, slash attack. Our archer, Sylvanus, 300 health, 20 arrows. They shoot an arrow, now they have 19 left, shoot another arrow, 18 left. Tries rapid fire, right, we got that if-else loop where we shoot 3 arrows at once, boom, and then replenish arrows so we can refill the arrows. Down onto our mage for Jaina. They start with 250 health and 100 mana. Cast Fireball for 30, so now we have 70 mana left. Teleports were 20, now we have 50 mana left. We cast Fireball again, 20 mana left because it's 30, and then we're going to restore our mana back to 100. Next, we're going to go to Illidan, our battle mage. So this is one of our hybrid classes. Powerful slash attack, cast Fireball, right? We now have 70 mana. Malfurion, right? We're just same deal, right? We've created all these loops. It's just running through them, right? 18, 19, so we know that's working. We're going to try, right? We're going to shoot an arrow, 19, cast Fireball, try enchanted ability, right? 18 left. It's infused with magical energy. Mana costs 20, so now we're down to 15 mana and 17 arrows, and it caused an explosive impact. Now for the polymorphism test, so now we got multiple things going on at once. So right, both of our melee combat units perform a slash attack. Both of our ranged combat units shoot an arrow. Both of our magic units cast a spell, so they have 40 mana left. Now we're going to try the special abilities for Vol'jin. Right, shoots a precise arrow, infused with magical energy, 20 mana cost, so there's down to 20 and 15 arrows left. So the reason this is counting down still is we never replenished our arrows again in the code. So we're still counting off of the previous loops and methods we had running. All right, now we're going to try Elemental Strike with our Battle Mage and Fireball, 10 mana left. Right, our Survival Instinct works correctly. Down here, Arcane Archer special ability, Enchanted Arrow, 15 arrows left. Infuse with magical energy, mana cost 20, so we're down to 20 and 14 arrows. And then we're going to test resource management for Ilaria. So she's starting with 20 arrows and 100 mana. Right, shoot an arrow, 19, shoot an arrow, 18, Fireball, 70, Fireball, 40. We're going to try the Enchanted Arrow ability, Precise Arrow, 17 arrows left, Magical Energy, 20 arrows, 20 mana, 16 arrows left, and now we're down to 17 arrows and 14 mana. Now we're just going to repeat shooting an arrow till we're out, right, counting down, 16, 15, right, down to 0. Now Ilaria is out of arrows. We're going to try the Enchanted ability. Right, not enough resources for special ability, correct? Because we're out of arrows. Arrows, we're going to run that replenish our quiver method. Boom. We're going to meditate to restore our mana. Now we are at full mana, full arrows, and we're going to try enchanted ability again, and then we are able to cast it correctly.